culture, and the third is on innovation. So, and just be prepared, since we are going online, we might just lose some time because of technicalities. So I'm going to convert this significantly into a monologue, okay? Not really a monologue, but it will significantly become a monologue because my ability to handle chaos from 70 plus people on this format would be somewhat limited, okay? So just bear with me. So what is the purpose of this session? The purpose of this session is to try to persuade you to sort of accept that politics is a part of the organization. Shikha wants to know, can we record? You cannot record, okay? The recording will be done locally here. Okay, so you as individuals cannot record. You have signed one agreement somewhere with IMB.
Sure.
You'll be violating whatever, I don't know what the legal terminology is. Okay. So Sharath here will do the recording and it will be available to you for some time. Whatever the EP rules are, but don't record. Okay.
Sure. That's what I wanted to know. If it is being recorded, I just need a copy. Not a problem. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get back to track. So I'm kind of going to persuade you to accept politics as an essential part of organizational life. And some of you already politically savvy. It's okay. And then I will try to persuade the rest of you to become more politically savvy. Okay. And I will the whole argument is based on that. Too many of us are not politically savvy. And if we are not politically savvy, we are sort of hurting ourselves, definitely. But we are hurting other colleagues, friends, subordinates, team members who look up to us for leadership. And unless and until you are politically savvy, you cannot do a good job of that. Yeah. Sharath, can you just focus the camera more? Like it's kind of.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, a little bit more. Okay. Yeah, that might be good enough. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to start with a question. And okay, and since this might be the first session you are having online, so there is a sort of decorum there. So if you need to speak, please show your hand and then I will point out your name. Okay. So otherwise, if all of you start speaking together, and there will be chaos and I'll have to cut you off. Okay. So the first. This is not working. One second. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So just set up. I'm going to ask you, how many of you perceive use of power in politics in organization is bad and why? And so some people want volunteer to raise their hand. Oh, okay. So now none of you consider it bad.
Hi, Professor. Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Anupam, sorry. Anupam.
See, politics is part of human nature itself. Wherever there will be a group of people, there will be some sort of.
No, but I'm asking you whether you consider it bad.
Not actually.
Okay, then sorry. Yeah, you can remove it. Lakshmi.
I consider it bad, sir. There will be a change in political landscape at any point of time, and that shouldn't impact the businesses at a later point of time. So there are several parameters that will get involved if there is power and politics that go together.
But why is it bad?
Today, there may be one party which is in power. They may change in the next ruling, and all of the rules will be accordance with who is in power. So the business should not get impacted just because of the power has changed, and power should not help in giving a biased opinion on where to invest and how the business should.
Let me break down, Anna. So the current guys who are ruling your organization should be allowed to rule your organization. Nobody else should have a voice. Okay, that's kind of, you are saying that. Okay, the current setup is okay. And the second one is the guys who are opposing these current guys in power are the ones who are biased. The guys who are in power today are the unbiased guys. Is it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll try to persuade you that you are wrong. Okay. Okay. The current guys who are in power are not necessarily doing the great job for your organization. You should have multiple voices. And this issue of bias is kind of, everyone is biased actually. Okay, you are biased, I am biased. We have a point of view. We should not get into politics to destroy the organization or destroy each other, but we should recognize that any worldview comes from certain foundational assumptions. And if two of us or three of us come from different foundational assumptions, it will be different. That's why I'm going to persuade you that if one guy gets entrenched in power and nobody is trying to sort of challenge them and push them around, your organization can be taken in one direction for the disaster of everyone. Okay, so let's, okay, Sarath.
So basically, my point was like, business might get influenced. I mean, because of politics, right? So business will be influenced, and it might impact the organizational goals in case like there is some wrong direction.
Almost like Lakshmi, you are believing the impact is going to be negative. I'm going to say many times the impact is positive. Why don't you recognize that one? The current guys are ruining your organization. Some other, if other voices were heard, maybe you would be on track. Yes, Rashmita.
So politics can be perceived as the greater good of everyone. Like the majority of the people, if they are benefiting from it, then it is good. But if the majority is not benefiting, then it is bad. Bad.
Okay. So she's giving a criteria. She's not putting politics and power as necessarily bad, but she's looking at the greater good. And politics can be good if the greater good is being served, and bad if it is serving only narrow interest. So I'm going to don't raise more hands because I'll have to move to the next question. Yes, Ketki.
Sir, I perceive that power and politics go hand in hand, and I feel that a certain amount of politics is needed for the organization to control the conflicts or solve the issues that are there in organization. So if the politics done in a right way, I guess it can benefit.
So you're not sort of saying it is bad. So anyway, but
Yeah.
Vatsala,
It's not bad.
and then Ardhendu, then we'll stop, okay? Or maybe
Yeah.
we'll go to Akhilesh and stop. No more new hands, okay? Yes. Vatsala.
But I feel that politics is not good because sometimes it hampers the productivity of the individual, and also it creates an unnecessary stress in the people. So that because if you are doing something good and still somebody putting you down and just showing that they are only doing everything, that kind of politics also hampers the it demoralizes and it hampers the individual performance as well.
Okay. I mean, see, we are talking a few days after the women's reservation bill has been passed. Would women have got those rights had you not indulged in politics? हम लोग को
Politics actually.
वो same concept है. The same concept is there. The politics, let me tell you, politics gives voice to the powerless, okay? Not the establishment will rule. So as soon as you see yourself as outside the establishment, you would want some scope for influencing it, and power and politics is the way. As a collective, we can influence the power that be. As individuals, if we challenge the guys at power, they will spat you like a fly, okay? Yes, Arvind.
I think that the people who are working really hard and pure technical, so their talent gets sidelined with the people who are playing politics, and they don't deserve, I mean, they don't get the right amount of recognition and promotions which they deserve actually.
I'm not so sure. Okay, I'm not so sure. You leave technical guys to themselves, they will just waste societal money on organizational money and nothing will happen.
But they are
But yeah, in the third session, I will tell you, innovation is not a technical issue. It is a very political issue. And the technical guys you're talking about, because of their technical skills, they want promotions, they want this, that, and all. They should wake up. We are part of an organization. We are not giving a physics exam.
But
We have to be able to handle organizational dynamics to be successful. There is no school teacher and principal ki chalo wo ye kar raha hai. You have to be in the position to be handle the dynamics. So I'll come back. I mean, the whole persuasion is whole session is geared towards arguments of your kind, ki unfair to the technical guy, etc., etc. In fact, we will be held back as a society, as an organization, if technical guys believe that the rest of the world should start bowing to me because I have some knowledge of technical skills. Organizational dynamics, play it, and if you play it well, or you latch on to somebody who plays it well, wonderful. That's what I'm trying to persuade you. At the end of the day, you may agree or not agree. That's a different thing. Yes, Akhilesh.
Sir, what I believe that politics in organization is not good, but for organization is good, because if it is used for individual gain, definitely is going to destroy. But it is going to politics for the organization, then definitely it is good.
Okay, so as a collective, somebody else earlier had said collective good, it's better, and then we kind of think. Okay, Deepti didn't have a hand up, but now she has. Let's last response, and then we'll move.
So what I believe, politics is always taken in a negative term. So, but politics, for example, from the leadership perspective, for the greater good of organization. So everybody should be, everybody gets to play their own part, and then things are in place where you can raise your voice, and then for the greater good of the organization, it is really required at some level.
So, okay, so I'm asking, how many of you have been hurt by politics? And maybe Arendu will raise his hand again. So, how many of you have hurt by politics? There's lots. Let me go to some fresh people who have. Okay, Aanchal.
Yes, sir. I've been hurt by office politics a lot of time.
Why?
In terms of, I would second to what Ardhendu said, and there have been times wherein I have not been treated fairly in the organization. It's very recent, so I can connect that.
Why do you think you are not treated fairly? I don't know. You've just removed your hand, so I've lost you on the screen. So I don't know where you are, but yeah. Why do you think you are not treated fairly?
Because I was not given the kind of recognition and reward that I had expected and discussed. I was vocal about.
You were vocal about it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. That's why. I mean, most of us, when we have not been vocal about our grievances. And again, I tell you a little bit. Understand power and politics. If you are vocal about it as an individual, you will be spotted like a fly. You have to understand politics. So you can't just be the lone voice saying that I've been unfairly treated. I'm sure if the system is biased, there are other people who are unfairly treated, and you would have to collect. So that's what Jyoti. Archana, unless you put on your screen, I'm not going to call you. Okay, Jyoti, yeah.
Yes, sir. I would also like to elaborate on the same aspect what Aanchal just mentioned. So, sometimes, and of course, what Ardhendu as well mentioned. Sometimes what happens is, as an individual, you are really, really good, but then organizational politics doesn't treat you in that aspect. There could be different aspect to what organization is expecting, but as an individual, if you want to be recognized and if you're vocal about, in most of the times it sometimes impacts you in a negative way. So that's why we consider when it is a targeted aspect for an individual, it is bad. So it is bad in that sense.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I'll tell you, if we win the battle, politics is good. If we lose the battle, politics is bad. No? That's what.
But most of the instances, mostly, I guess, we lose the battle.
There are lots of people who have not been hurt by politics because they understand organizational dynamics. They know when to salam karo, they know when to keep quiet, they know who to make friends with. That's what I'm trying to persuade you is, if you want to belong to organizational life and you have aspirations, no cheez hai. If you are happy and you believe in this idea of Nishkam Karm, then ye chapter close kar do, okay? Maybe you are just happy with whatever, that's fine. Most of you, if you are betting into an EGMP program, you are not happy with where you are. You have aspirations to grow, etc., etc. Okay? So just start accepting politics is a reality. You don't have to indulge in the negative politics. But the boss हमको promotion दे देगा, boss हमको recognition दे देगा. That's a pipe dream, okay? Because your boss has 20 other people with similar aspirations. And how do you make yourself visible? How you make yourself sort of in the best position that your boss cannot neglect you? It's the onus is on you. Okay. Yes, Archana.
Sir, this is a recent or rather an ongoing situation I have at office. Due to the political reasons in Europe, mine is a European company, it's Siemens, and there is a lot of instability in the among the teams because they are doing some kind of a downsizing. Therefore, the organization announcement that was supposed to happen from my manager about my role has not happened. So
Okay, so when we discuss the case, you listen very carefully, okay? Because this is also a case of merger and how this guy who didn't know how to handle it very well is resigning and going, whereas they were
right.
he exercised certain options, he wouldn't have been the one resigning. So
Right.
maybe listen to the case carefully. Yes, Sandeep.
Yeah, giving voice to the voiceless in a positive terms, politics is really good. I have seen like many a times the giving voice to voiceless is your own voice also. So if you have a point to prove, you should have supporting people to
Absolutely.
believe in your idea, and that's where
Absolutely.
politics plays a positive role. I will put it that way. So it can be used in a positive sense to give voice to the right ideas, which may not be pursued in a better way as compared to other options on table. So that way it can be utilized, and that's how I look at it. It is important.
Okay, thank you. That's a good. So now no more new hands. Okay, I'll go as far as Nidhi. Amita.
Yeah, I don't I think politics is good to a certain extent, but recently in my previous organization
Okay, let me accept. If anybody is saying occasionally politics goes wrong, I will buy the argument. But politics nahi hona chahiye is.
So recently it became about ethnic politics, it became about where are you from, and that became how everybody was judged and how that's how you would like go to the next step. I think that's extremely negative. You shouldn't be judged from which part of the country you come from.
Yeah.
And that, I think that kind of politics is very negative.
I can empathize with you. My ancestry is from Bihar, and I know how people around the country sometimes react to people from Bihar. So I can empathize with you. So in some sense, yeah. But how do I deal with it? Do I cry over it? Do I shirk? Do I escape? Or do I play politics? So am I doing politics when I mention my ethnicity here? At some stage, some of us who have a voice have to put it up and speak on behalf of others, and that's how it will. If I say politics is bad and just do nothing about it, then I am becoming part of the
problem.
Part of the problem. So I don't normally bring up my ethnicity or whatever. That's kind of unimportant. But if there are some guys saying, okay, these guys from here or that guy from there, at some stage, the onus is on us to have our voices heard. Otherwise, the guys who hold on to the voices think they're the only voices. Okay. And so again, I'm telling you that in a moment, I'm going to tell you why it is important for us who have some different views from the dominant views should learn how to express ourselves, and of course, with support. If you do it individually, there's a problem. Okay. Thank you. Soma.
Yes, sir. Actually, from an outsider perspective, like recently I changed my org and I went to a new team. So there I had to face a lot of politics where people were not ready to accept, though the manager was in favor of bringing an outsider perspective, but the internal team members, they were not. But then I learned to be a part of politics, and now I am at a good place.
Next time you change jobs, make sure that you will join 3-4 people join together. If you go, I mean, as a change leader, when a change leader brings in a contingent, a fresh contingent, he or she should bring in large numbers. That's only so it becomes a fair game. Now, if I am an incumbent and I'm going through a change process, and my leader brings in one person from the outside and say, change karo. And if I see my interest being hurt, I will oppose. So politics is a very real part of organization. We have to learn to handle it better. Yes, Pradeep?
Yes, so I think politics I mean, if the question is if I'm impacted by politics, yes, but in a positive way. So I think in organizations, the business leaders will always have some agenda and manifesto to drive. So if you can stick to that and make that happen, you are anyways part of that politics, and you will be benefited. If you can't manage that change, I mean, if a new leader comes and the agenda becomes something different, which you were driving earlier, and you oppose that, you are negatively impacted. So if you're not a decision maker, be the part of that agenda and drive.
Okay, good, thanks. Yeah, Nidhi, and then we will.
Yeah, so sir, for me, politics and power is good. It should be there. We have seen Kashmir Article 370. If power and politics both were not there, it could not have happened. In this case, power is required because they have to house arrest Abdullah, Farooq Abdullah.
No, organization तक रखो. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you. But in that context, you are saying it's a power game outside. In real politics, we understand it's a power game. What is today Karnataka band because it's a power game. In organization, let me accept. So now let me go to the next one. What do we do? So I'm trying to persuade you that some of you said it is good, some of you said it is bad. Who is going to stop this negative politics? And I'm telling you, we are adults. We are all in work organizations. You all that I'm talking to you about you are all in managerial roles. How do you deal with one subordinate of yours who attributes everything to politics and says, sir or madam, intervene, nahi to is team mein I cannot function because that guy is bad mouthing me, that guy is doing that. What do you think about that guy? Huh? It's okay. Hashimuddin, yeah. I can't hear you. Yeah, speak. Yeah, now I can hear you. Yeah. No, we can't hear you. Just get your audio correct. Sandeep.
Yeah, a negative politics can be definitely dealt with positive politics, like getting the support for right agenda against the whatever going wrong. And it is easy game. I have seen many a times.
Yeah. So the point is, don't wait for the boss. Don't wait for somebody else to stop that negative politics. It is for you and I to stand up with our voices and counter that negative politics. Somebody has to put their mic off. Okay. Where was I? We have to stand up and play that negative politics. Counter the negative politics with what Sandeep mentioned as positive politics. Again, you have to understand the dynamics of the organization, know how to do that to actually counter the negative politics. Again, I say, if you do it as individuals, it's not like a school where you can go and complain to the principal ki wo field mein humko maar diya, aap kuch kar do. In that, you are adults, you have to take care of yourself. And there is ways and means on how to make sure that this playing field, which is not level, is leveled. And rather than rely on the boss, maybe if I'm giving lecture to the boss, I will say, you ensure that there is no power and politics happening in your organization. That's a different issue. I'm trying to encourage you, if for whatever reasons the boss is not doing what he is supposed to do or she is supposed to do, what will you do? And for me, the onus on paying that positive politics is on you. Yes. Hashimuddin, now your audio is working. No, we're not getting you. Maybe just temporarily pull out your audio system. Pull out the audio system. It's probably in the, rely on your computer mic and, yeah, speak now. No, sorry. I'll come back to you, just kind of, okay. Yeah, last comment I'll go to is Sri Shala.
Yeah, so hope you can hear me well, sir.
Yeah.
Always when I had conflicts in the team, when one of the team member comes, I can't work with him, or she comes and say I can't work with him, a lot of issues. I always try to influence them and make them understand, focusing on what is right rather than who is right. Obviously, it is, as you said, it depends on the overall organization situation and how we can influence the team to really focus on the right things to do.
Yeah, yeah. So good, you intervene. I mean, at some stage, you have only limited time. You also have other deliverables to do, other things to monitor. And so dealing with the squabbles of your team members is not necessarily the main thing that your job is. And so in that limited time, if you can resolve it, resolve it. Otherwise, you start thinking कि इसको किसी और team में transfer करो. Yeah, this is too much of, okay. So the guy who's always cribbing that the world is bad and I'm the only innocent guy and the productive guy, etc., etc. I think he's not a good team member. At some stage, you have to realize that every one of us have to learn with the social context we are in. How many of you claim? Okay, this is Srishala, you remove your hand there. How many of you claim who come from families where there is no politics? Bolo. So I would assume that net, all your family members or network of extended family care for each other, think for the collective good of everyone. All that is there. Na? Tab bhi politics chalta hai. Why? So it is a very essential part of a social system where people whose voices are less, they find dynamics. Here a family, who makes the final decision in the family, who has the so-called veto, unse dosti karo, find out whether the person likes your idea. You ask your auntie whether if I suggest this to my uncle, will he accept it? And after that, when you think that it's all the ground is ready, then you go and present it. We do it in family life. We should bring it up to an organization. Again, I'm saying the organization can do something about it. The manager can do something about it. Wonderful. If they don't, we have to take charge of our life and manage it. Okay. Last comment before I proceed is Archana. अरे नहीं,
Sir,
प्रदीप जी आप बंद करो. Yeah.
Sir, I heard somebody say that when there are 3 people, politics starts.
So hope it is good. Don't wish it away. And if you are trying to blind yourself here, there will be one day an organization without politics. You are in a false world. Wake up. As soon as people collect, there is possibilities that. And your role as an individual is to ensure that that collective doesn't indulge in negative politics, backbiting, destroying the organization, destroying individuals. And your role is to be an active politician to prevent negative politics from taking over the organization. Otherwise, if we don't do our job of participating in the political process, we are leaving the field open to clever people who will manipulate the system to their own end. And you will keep complaining. You'll keep complaining. We'll go home and at a dinner table, we'll keep complaining about what happened in my organization rather than do something about it. You have to do something about it. Form your networks, form your communication channels, etc., to counter it. Okay. Okay. One more hand has gone up. Akanksha, boliye.
So I feel politics in a family or an organization is when the one person on the leadership level or any level wants to go above the other. So even in the family or in the organization, it's all about going up the ladder. And I think the negative politics is when people try to pull the other person down and not thinking about the subordinates.
Okay. So the subordinate should stand up for his or her rights. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we'll go to merger management, and there are 2 sides we can take. What the Wadhwa as a senior partner could have done to deal with the politics. And I will just give a quick commentary on that and we'll move on. What we really want to discuss is what Moitra, as a mid-level guy, what he could have done for himself and for his organization, or for his subordinates and team members, to really make this merger a more pleasant experience than it became. And I want to make Moitra not the victim, but the villain of the piece. He is too naive to think that politics doesn't have in an organization. He thinks that his professionalism will sort of trump all others. That's very, very naive. And for a partner in an accounting firm to believe that your professionalism or your knowledge of audit and knowledge of consultancy is going to get you to the top is just a pipe dream. You have to understand organizational dynamics. And so rather than paint him as a victim, I'm going to paint him as kind of a villainous guy who not only let down the organization, who let down his entire team who were looking up to him for guidance. So as leaders, some of us will say, Nishkam Karm, I will just do what, let the organization do whatever. But it's not an individual decision. There are 20, 30 other people who are reporting to you or with you. Can you let them down? So this moral compass ki nahi, I will not indulge in politics because I think it's bad. I'm going to persuade you ki wo, just throw that out. You have to protect your career. You have to protect the career of X number of people who are looking up to you for guidance. You know, I forget who, somebody said ki there's a European company where layoffs are going to happen and she's waiting for somebody to let her know, okay. I imagine she's a senior person who doesn't know and she's feeling concerned. Imagine what the lowest guy in the rung who is even further away from the information network, uska kya hoga? Okay, and so again we have to get into the understanding that these things happen in organizations, whether one likes them or doesn't like them. These are an integral part of organizations, and we have to learn how to be better players than that. Okay, so in sort of here we are going to say Wadhwa could have done something definitely better than he did, and I'm going to very quickly get over this and then get into the issue that is the focus of this case. So what could Wadhwa have done? So the Wadhwa should have had the courtesy and decency and the professionalism to understand the impact of this merger for everyone and make some contingency plan for everyone. Okay. Now you will say this is, you're talking ideal. In a real merger situation, it doesn't happen. Possible. I mean, these guys had just come out of Burns Jones had just come out of a merger, and they were desperate because once they had come out of a larger merger, the earlier merger, a lot of clients were leaving, and one of the reasons the multinational clients were leaving is because they didn't want to be associated with a small partnership firm anymore. They wanted to be part of a large partnership firm, and so strategically Wadhwa was very interested in partnering with a large global firm. That's fine, but what he could have done in the process is he had the experience of the earlier merger, which had upset a lot of people, and it was difficult. The second time around, he should have done that due diligence to understand what is the implication of this merger for different people, and he should have informed them, he should have prepared them for what are the roles they can do. If somebody doesn't fit in the role, what are the training they should go to, or give them a year advance notice or 6 months advance notice, as the case may be, to prepare for another job. And he did nothing of that kind, and that definitely Wadhwa did not do a good job of sort of planning the merger in a fashion where negative politics would not have taken over. So he has contributed to it. He could have done better. Open communication is very essential in times of thing. And so I think Archana was mentioning that seems to be a lack of communication. People are in suspense. And if open communication during these tumultuous times doesn't happen, the grapevine, the rumor, the whatever else take over. And unfortunately, if the manager, like in this case Wadhwa, doesn't indulge in open conversation, explaining to people the strategy behind this merger, the implications, which I'm sure as an individual he would have been aware of, or at least been aware of what to look for. But for whatever reasons, he didn't seem to think he could share it. At least the case seems to suggest that he definitely didn't share it with Moitra. Whether he shared it with other partners, there's no evidence in the case, but definitely net there appears to be a lack of open communication, which Wadhwa could have done. Okay. Feedback mechanisms, he seemed to be not willing to take feedback. He never responded to Moitra's calls and he was traveling most of the time. These are things definitely, if you have set the pace for an organization in this tumultuous format, feedback is important. And to the extent that there were two parties involved, any of you who has gone through a merger would know that very rational, reasonable people think very differently when they belong to two different organizations. And when they come together on the most trivial reasons, they kind of have differences and etc. etc. The only way of getting away over that is to get them to work together as team members when they'll understand that when somebody from the other organization has another view, it's not a vicious view, it's not a negative view, it's just a different view, and we can work around that. Okay. So, and in extreme cases, when you have to make a difficult decision, you have to make a difficult decision. Okay. Unfortunately, Wadhwa doesn't seem to have displayed this behavior to have made a successful merger. Now, if I were to turn the clock back and say, Moitra, what could Moitra have done to ensure that the management, Wadhwa, should have been forced to or coerced to assess the impact on individuals? What could Moitra have done to ensure that Wadhwa had open channels? What could Moitra have done to ensure that real feedback from employees impacted the merger? What could he have done to ensure that these people from different units, when they are coming together, they do not see themselves in a hierarchical position, one stepping over the other, but as collaborators? What could he have done to either stop or facilitate the tough decisions that in any merger have to be made? Okay, so that's kind of, so I say group work, but this slide was prepared before the bun. So I'm going to get Sharath to randomly break you up into, you seem to be around 75, randomly break you up into say 8 groups and give you 10 minutes to just discuss what you think as a group Moitra could have done to not let Wadhwa behave the way he did and make it a fairer acquisition merger process than it was. Okay, is that okay? Is the assignment clear? 10 minutes may, I'm assuming some of you have read the case. Have you read the case?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we randomly put you into 8 groups, and once you are in those groups for 10 minutes, just discuss, if you are in Moitra's role, what would you have done to make this merger smoother for everyone? Okay, so Sharath, you 10 minutes, yeah, just launch it.
Okay.
Hey,
I think-
Parvesh. Hello, Akhilesh. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Hi. Not sure why I was.
Samir, yeah.
Samir, we are not able to hear, at least I cannot see you if you are in.
No, so I think you are.
Hi all.
Audible
Hey,
probably.
hi.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. I think we can discuss the case, right? So, any of you want to start? If you have already read through.
Whoever has read that properly, he can start it. Probably.
Okay.
Whoever has gone through maybe a quick summary of what it is,
Yes,
then we
yes,
can
that will be
discuss.
helpful. Yeah, that will
Okay,
be
so-
helpful. Even I couldn't have gone to that case.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe I just give you some little bit background. So so there were 2 firms, right? So Maitra's firm was Dow, and then there was another firm from BNS, right? And they were trying to merge together. And when they did merge together, so there were 2 guys from the Dow organization, right? So one is Maitra, who's one of the partners, right? and then Wadhwa, who is also another one of the senior partners in the firm. And when these firms were merging together, what was happening is, so Maitra had an idealistic approach, right? So he said, okay, everything will turn out fine. I don't need to indulge in too much of politics, what's going around. He was probably not aware of what's going on around, right? And what Wadhwa was doing in the background, basically, so he was directly reaching out to the Densho BNS executives, right, behind his back, without him knowing most of the times, without Maitra's knowing most of the times. And what ended up happening is basically the power dynamics shifted from Maitra to Wadhwa, right? And then Dinsho, basically, who's from BNS, he started calling shots, right? So that basically made life very much terrible for Maitra and his clients, right? Even the impact could be seen in the like clients' unhappiness, and even in the employees, basically, of Dow, firm Dow, right? Because all the senior executives in that firm, they started, they had to conform to the BNS norms, right? Because that was a bigger firm who was acquiring this Dow. So it ended up eventually with Maitra's resigning. Basically, he was not happy what went on, right? Because all of this politics came into play, and him not being aware, he always thought, grass will be greener at the end of the merger, but it was not the case. Yeah. So that was the quick summary, actually. Hope you. So maybe if you want to, pick up from that.
So, everything
So
then
one
this-
point I want to add here. So from the Maitra point of view, what he was telling, that when this merger happened, if the things are not taken properly, then the second company becomes just a brand. So that was his main concern, that it was not a equal terms merger. It was like they were kind of bullied, or another way, that they were not taken care, and the like Wadhwa's company was taking all the benefits, and, like, for example, giving that
No,
coupons.
so Wadhwa and Maitra are from the same company.
Okay, I forgot that there was some I read long back, there
Dinsho.
was some
Yeah,
coupons
so
and other things were given.
BNS, actually. So the other company is BNS, and BNS started basically imposing certain things on the Dow, right? Because both of their parent companies, then BNS was much larger organization. So they started imposing, no? And that's the problem. But the whole point was about also Maitra, what also Professor asked us to discuss about, no? So what Maitra could have done differently. And I think in that regard, he could have definitely also at least been aware of what's going on, and he should have put his organizations as a priority, and taken to the also to the BNS, saying that, okay, we have so many clients in India, we have a good presence in India, and this is where we are coming with, right? And you need to listen to us, basically, also, right?
Praveen, just one clarification. This guy Dinsho and Maitra were the same, right? Because
No, so Dinsho is from BNS. So
okay,
Dinsho,
he was okay.
yeah.
He's not responding properly, him, and then that's why he's
Correct.
saying. Okay.
Correct, because they come from different organization. Now Dinsho doesn't want to hear anymore what Maitra says. Yes, Ashok, you want to say something?
Yeah, generally in the this we can see that every typical mergers, all those things, right? The person who's acquiring always dictate their terms. But one of the thing they would have done is that based on their prior experience, they'd have put us some of the terms like merger terms, right? This is the things and all, and bring up the open communications on all the times. That will give the employee morale as well as both the firms win-win situation.
Adding to what he says, that first and foremost important thing is, hello.
Yeah, Ashim, you're audible.
First and foremost important is what I think that Moitra need to be aware about the ground reality. I mean, Wadhwa has taken advantage, but there is a, there is a miss from Moitra end. So they need to know what exactly is happening at the ground. Second thing, when they are going for a merger, they need to fix the boundary. I mean, where exactly who is doing what functionality and who is executing what. the segregations should be required, because the moment you are going for mergers, we are not very sure about a specific rule and its limitations. So that kind of things need to be created. And the question is, means how Moitra can, his things will be improved. Then we can say first thing is that he need to be aware about the ground reality. Second thing, there should be some checkpoints, some limitations for each and every individual. Here it is Moitra and Badwa, and there should be some communication between Densio, the BN, and the bigger organizations, so that at least they should get to know that even leaving a small client is not a good thing for a organization. So what I mean to say that organization's goal need to be very much clear.
Yeah. So maybe just the main, Ashutosh, sorry to cut you off. I mean, the main question here is what Maitra could have done better, right?
Guys, Samir here. Guide half a minute, Samir here. I believe Moitra missed the things, collecting the information or collecting the ground reality, collecting the talking to his own people in his organization, and he should. That is the first thing he should have been act as a bridge between his own organization and the merger team. He should have put in all the terms and conditions on paper on the table, and he could have directed it with the merger organization properly. These three things we need to mention.
Okay.
Yeah, even I
Praveen,
have
you
the
have-
same
you have read
idea.
it well.
Like,
Just one
Hold
point.
on. Everyone, please hold
Praveen,
on.
Praveen.
Maybe let's quickly hear from Tejaswini and Chaya also.
yeah,
right?
since this is not an acquisition, it's a merger, right? It's not like these are the defined rules. So since two orgs are joining together, there should be new set of rules agreed upon from both ends, as well as what Hashmuddin was saying, R&R should be defined as well as soon as the merger is in place.
Correct.
Like roles and responsibilities. If anything forgoes, then it is clear who's at fault and not.
So can we
I have
take
some
some
point.
notes also, Praveen?
Yeah,
Please go
Chaya.
ahead, please go ahead, Chaya.
Yeah. So initially, earlier for some of the merger decisions, Wadhwa and Maitra had a mutual understanding. They did withdraw from some of the mergers, but in this specific merger, Wadhwa took his own decisions and then he went ahead and discussed with Dinshaw, which was not right. They sidelined Maitra in this case, which he was not happy. And there was one more person, I forgot the name, from B and S, right? Dinshaw. Dinshaw was trying to take the power from Maitra, and he was not sharing all the information. So there was no transparency. Maitra felt that internally his own team is not sharing the information. I think the first thing is the transparency, right? He felt out of place, and that's the reason he took this decision. So transparency and communicating together with the own team is what was missing. Yes.
As time is
Team for you there. Can one team declare itself team one and give me
Recording in progress.
point or 2 points that you feel Mitra should have used? So she said you want team one.
Yeah, sir. Yes, sir. Can I start?
Your
Yeah.
voice is not clear.
Who's my voice?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Your voice is echoing a little.
Right. Okay, okay. Now I think it should be better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell here. Yeah. I had put off my mic for the 10 minutes. Anyway, good. Srishal, speak. Yeah.
Yeah, sir. As a team, we just came up with few points how Maitra could have himself could have handled situation differently. First thing was Maitra was just playing a victim card. He could have used his power to really understand the situation, have more information and have influence the outcomes really differently.
No, all that is okay. What could he have done in specific? 1 or 2 steps you should have taken to do all these are all wonderful things. Use his power. How should have used power?
He
Got
should have
more
been more,
information.
proactive in managing the relationship with the new firm. He
Okay.
put it too much on Vada and let the team down. So that's where we felt he should have done better. And he could have done some, he could have really understood the politics there.
Okay. So one item I take away is he could have done a better job of managing relationships within the organization and across the 2 organizations. Okay. Any other point, Michelle, before I go to the next group?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So now, Ashutosh, let me declare you the second group. Put on your screen, please. Yeah, you are not visible, which is a complete no-no. If you want to speak, you have to show your face. Acha. Next group. Kamal Nathan, yeah, please. I can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah, please.
I think he could have accepted the change management. Anyway, this merger is going to happen. And then he should have really stood by his team on the communication.
How would you just accept it? Because it is being bulldozed by Wadhwa, or see the rationale?
Yeah, because the first merger did not happen, so that way Wadhwa, he was not onboarded for the change management, Maitra. So he could have built a rapport with Wadhwa as well as with the new organization and influence his team member on the change management process.
Yeah, when I took away from you, he should be engaged with the big picture, strategic.
Yes,
and then if he has engaged with the big picture, he would have realized that this change was quite a good thing, even if it is going to lead to difficulties for people. For the organization, it's a good thing. He was narrowly interpreting it as bad for him and his team.
Correct.
Because he was so obsessed with doing good audit. Why this is happening, he should, if he realizes it, I mean, if you are today sitting in, say, I mean, I just heard in the papers yesterday or day before yesterday that Baiju is going to lay off people. Okay, now anybody in Baiju should be anticipating ki ye hona hai, this, given the way the business is gone. So if you look at the big picture, rather than remember how great a person I was yesterday and how you did this. Big picture is if you happen to belong to a particular industry or a particular organization right now, some things are going to happen. How do you anticipate it? And sometimes once you anticipate it, you might realize it is not as bad as you're going, and then you will become a more proactive part of engaging with the change than otherwise. Okay, thank you.
Try to understand the rationale why it is.
Okay,
thank you.
Abhinav.
Yes. So one point Maitra would have done is to kill like dependency with Wadhwa. Instead, he collaborate better with the merger company. So proactively collaborate with the new team. That is one point. And second point, after the merger, personally, Maitra was too much frustrated. Like he was taken away, secretary, all those things. So he might have collaborated well and leave out his frustration and understand the new merged company's priority. So there should be a communication might have been better with the this company and the new merged company.
Okay, yeah.
And should have been involved in part of the merger well before, but that he should have been given a chance to be involved in the merger before in hand, not after the merger happens, just to inform them.
What would they have done to be involved before the merger?
So proactively, like participating in all the other areas, not only just focused on the job given. So should be proactively participating in the other areas as well.
Okay, thank you. Now, Ashmuddin, I hope your audio is okay now. Please contribute. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I feel the most important things where Moitra lack is the awareness. He is not aware what exactly is happening at the ground. Even
so, what would he do to increase awareness?
Fixing the role and responsibility. First thing, RNR. Role and responsibility need to be fixed. Second thing is, I mean, sir, what all the roles the subordinate need to be performed, that should be very clear. yeah, those, I mean, these are the 2 points what I think.
I'll
is
put
more required. Because even you are saying about the big pictures, but what I feel that awareness is very much required. You
No.
had given one example of Baiju.
Let me clarify why I put a question mark there. In fact, the problem is if we stick to our role and responsibilities too clearly in this period of tumult, okay? There's a formal organization and there's an informal organization.
Yeah.
If you stick to the formal organization, you will get information 2 weeks later than others. If you play in the informal organization, you will be in tune with the current realities. So I'm trying to persuade you, some of you who feel that my role is to just adhere to the formal rules, formal system. The manager will tell me information that is relevant for me. The manager will write a memo at an appropriate time. I think we will be taken for a shortcut. Okay, so do your formal part well, but I'm encouraging you to play in the informal system now. So in a merger situation, and some of you would have gone to merger situation, it's very difficult, a priority, to have very clear clarity of roles and responsibilities. That's what is changing. Okay, so you can anticipate it, maybe do slightly better than what Maitra did, but definitely he was in his own mind sticking to the role as assigned to him, and I'm trying to persuade you, go beyond that, particularly in periods of tumult. If you stick to that pigeonhole that they have put you into, you will be kind of blindsided more often than not. Okay. Yes. You want to respond to that, Hashmuddin? Yeah. No. Or you?
No, it's good. I can.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Suresh.
Thank you, sir. Some of the points have been already covered. The 2 points which I feel that Maitra could have done is one, self-promotion and visibility within the new organization, wherein he could have
I kind of missed. Can you just repeat? Sorry, I missed your main argument.
One of the things that he could have done was self-promotion and visibility within the new organization. Am I audible?
Yes.
All right. And another thing which I feel, which has happened with me a lot, is that seek external support. Wherein the client, for example, external support in the sense that I'm not talking about particularly external coaching, etc. We can also consider the client speaking for you. All right, coming as a support, develop that strategy to retain that relationship and to engage within the new organization, wherein the client says that he's the reason why we are doing business with you, etc., which will have a big impact in retaining good talent in such mergers.
Anybody in the network who can make a case for you is welcome, including the client. Okay, thank you. Soumya, I can't hear you. Unmute.
Sorry, I didn't unmute.
See, after pandemic, we have forgotten how to use these technologies. Anyway, chaliye.
Okay, so what Maitra should have done? Firstly, Maitra was good in managing his team and organization, had a good client database and everything. So he had a clear understanding as a DAO for India market. So besides his all kind of approaches made with Vadva, he didn't have a good connect. So he should have considered this as a roadblock and started to connect with the BNS senior management to explain him on the differences of organization style and have an alignment in terms of how good DAO was in India market, market client base. So they could still cater in rising their sales, their business with respect to India market.
Okay.
Other than
Okay, don't rely on Vadva for all the information. You can connect on your own. Okay.
and just have an alignment of accept the BNS merging and have an alignment how best we can fit in DAO's way of working culture with BNS combination.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I need I see more hands. I have only 2 teams left, but let me go. Rashmita,
He should have consolidated power to begin with because it is easier to
how,
ignore
how,
one
how,
person by
how?
forming his own group. See, he had a lot of clients on his side. He had a lot of people who reports to him, a lot of other people from Fraser Dow who looked up to him as a manager. So he should have got them all on his side and tell that if this is going to prolong, we all will leave this as a group.
Okay, good. Thank you. Pravesh, I'm just going to put you into the same group. Okay.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I mean, the point is very similar to what Rashmita already said. So it was a merger, although it ended being like a takeover, like, and coming from this strong position in the India's market, Maitra could have definitely involved himself in defining the terms of merger, right? And how company has to operate after the merger, and then how it affects their clients and employees, right? And he could have also improved the communication and transparency within his own organization to ensure the how the merger would have gone on basically smoothly.
Okay, thank you. He could have contributed to the improvement in communication and transparency. Thank you. Pramod, and then Shruti, and then we'll move on.
So I just wanted to add on to what Abhinav from the group already mentioned. So I think he should have recognized his strengths first. So his main strengths are his clients, the clients that he has, and the team members. And he should have also recognized the overall objective of the merger, which is, for the clients to grow. So if he would have been able to anticipate the loss of his clients and probably go back to the partners of B&S saying that, hey, these clients are leaving and we have to do this to retain them. And if he would have been able to retain them, would have been able to establish a good win and probably, be an integral part of the inner organization.
Okay, so again, it's like little below, he could have formed his own group based on his strengths and use that as a ploy negotiation.
Also should have delegated all his the responsibilities that
Madam, okay, Shruti. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be covered in one of these points. He should have shown a sense of ownership, where if he's not getting any response from Vadva, he should have been the second line of leadership. He should have taken that ownership to go talk to the respective leadership in in BNS, got the communication, and hence because a lot of juniors are looking up to him for information because they are much more lost than Maitra has been lost. So take that sense of ownership when you have a lack of leadership. So you can take it on yourself because he also comes from a very, very well renowned university and all of those things. So he could have acted per his second line leadership.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been as passive as he was. He should have been much more active. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Yes, Shika, I stopped you. Make a comment and then we'll move on.
No, that's okay. That point, I think Shruti is from team 8, not okay.
I lost track again. Remote class manager.
Because Pramod was saying that, right? Like, I really believe that since he has been running his organization for such a long time and his organization actually trusts him and believes him, he should have delegated more work towards them and told them, you are responsible for running the business as usual, and he should have changed his game plan and concentrated on the merger itself. Right, there are things happening, there are so many changes happening, so you need to grow as a leadership guy, right? Like,
so yeah, he could definitely delegate to others and free himself up to deal with the issues which are, so the narrow roles and responsibilities which are ongoing, he should delegate it to others and free himself up for other activities. Okay, so thank you. I'm just going to go back to my slide. Yeah, okay. You will.
Just one comment, sir. Without involvement, you cannot influence. Without involvement, you cannot influence.
Absolutely.
That is where Maitra, I think, went wrong.
Yeah, and so again, earlier somebody had made the comment ki I'm the technical person, I contribute so much, this and that. All that we'll recognize, but in periods of this high uncertainty that comes, you have to get involved with the process, and nobody is going to remember you because you contributed great to the thing last year. You got to get out of that one. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is okay. Now I'll give you try to in the next 7-8 minutes. I'll try to give you my thing is as a professional, what Moitra could have done and what you need to do is build coalition and expand networks. That's what's going to allow you to deal with the power and politics. Unless and until you are well networked, you're not going to go anywhere in your organization, no matter how much your technical skills may be. What Moitra needed to do, as somebody said, cultivate clients and partners. Particularly in this kind of a profession, audit firm, etc., the whole CA association would know what is going to happen. CA association would know that Wadhwa is looking for a firm to organize. How Moitra is not aware of that is just, as a partner, not aware of that is kind of okay. Keep informal channels open. Moitra seems to be so focused on the narrow role. I'm telling you, whatever you are in business, kind of you should have networks of people who feel obligated to you. It might be just the person who you meet in the escalator. It might be the person who you have lunch or coffee with. It might be the person who uses common transport facilities to go from home to office. Speak up to everyone. Somebody or the other would have information that is relevant to you. Don't be this. Unfortunately, in today's day, every one of us in all these occasions, we are staring at our own personal health device. That's good in one way, but it is hurting our ability to make these informal channels and pick up things. Okay. In case of Moitra, I mean, Wadhwa's secretarial staff should have been part of his network. Okay. If he is not saying what he is doing in New York, you should have the rapport with the secretary to find out why. Okay. And somebody will say you are indulging in unethical activities. I'm not indulging in unethical. As a partner, I need to know not that he is going to meet his wife or child there, that is personal information. If he's going to act on behalf of the organization, he's going to New York, I have a right to know why. Okay. So in some sense, some of us deliberately, we think that this is my role and I'm not going to go beyond that. Please get over that discomfort. Open information channels, informal channels that somebody feels obligated. I have this information which may be relevant for Moitra. I should feel I have to get it. Sometimes I will say this information is so much relevant. If I meet him tomorrow in the elevator, I will tell him. Sometimes I find that information is really critical. I will go out of the way to contact him and give him that information. So you need to have this network where people feel that information sharing is important. They know you well enough to know what information will be important to you, and they will. Okay, so just get out of the way. Don't have your food. Even if you take dabba from home, don't have it in your desk. Go into the canteen. Go everywhere else. Make friends. Say hello to the guys you meet in the elevator. Say hello to the guys you meet everywhere else. You don't know where these networks and rapports will come, and don't do it in a very transactional mode. I will give one information and she will give me one piece of information. Just be a more gregarious, network friendly, happy person than some of us are. Okay. The other one is have loyal people in key positions. Some people who, and when I'm saying loyal people, is a sense every group may ek banda hona chahiye. How you build that relationship is up to you. It's over a mug of beer, or it's over golf, or over bridge, whatever else it is. There should be some people in your network who feel key, and it should be in everywhere, every part of the organization. Enhanced legitimacy, somebody already talked about promoting oneself. Middle class India particularly, we have been taught, for whatever good or bad, not to do a lot of self-praise. It has its virtues, but in today's environment, you have to get comfortable with saying nice things about yourself. You have to be able to share nice things about yourself. till, otherwise people will not know how good you are. No? So in some sense, I tell people that if you get citations from your client for some excellent work done, next time at lunch, say, oh, I'm feeling so happy today, I got this client citation. Not that you feel embarrassed that I'm sharing something nice about myself. Too many of us are not willing to share positive news about ourselves in the public domain. And our upbringing, whether in school or home, has told us that if you are doing this, you are bragging, and bragging is bad, etc., etc. But okay, please, I encourage you to overcome those inhibitions, realize that in organization, everyone is obsessed with what they are doing, and they will not come to know about your greatness, they will not come to know about your success unless and until information happens, and you are the source of that information. You have to put that information into the public domains that people talked about you. So to get into a coalition, to get into a network, to get into a, you need to be, now you can tell me that the boss's responsibility is to share that this guy has got a citation from client. Okay, I'm just saying, just imagine your boss is a bewakoof, doesn't do anything. Will you keep cribbing about the boss, or will you take charge of your life? Now I'm urging you to take charge of your life and be the. It's a fine line when people are going to say, "Ye bahut zyada bolta hai and he brags a lot, etc., etc." and you keeping quiet. So you have to find in your own context that space where you can say nice things about yourself and let people know that you are an important person. Let others know how important your team is for the organization. You have to sell. You have to sell. As I say, you have to beat your own drum. Nobody else is going to come and beat your own drum. Beat your drum. They are going to be beating their own. So Mitra should have done things to make sure that Vadhva knows, or even the acquiring companies managers know, that Mitra is important and Mitra's team is important. If he had made noise, it would have been impossible for Dinshaw to have neglected him the way he did. And if we have to come to confront people, please feel comfortable confronting. Not alone, but in a group. Do a little bit of politicking a day or two before you will realize that there are 10 other people as frustrated as you together. Vadhva went and gave his resignation letter as an individual, or banda accept kar lega. If you are 20 people who are throwing the resignation, he will stand up and listen to you. Okay, so do a little bit of politics, use power, not alone, but as a group, and you will be able to deal with it. Yes, Charu, and then I'll go to my last slide. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to just to add a point about self-promotion, and because you have nicely elaborated it, and I have a difficult boss and who never publicly say that somebody has done a good job. And I went up to an extent that after doing a good job, after not hearing it from a big forum, I sent him an appreciation mail. Not the email. We have a tool, appreciation tool, which is public. Everybody can see it. And there I wrote that thanks for guiding me, helping me, and reviewing my reports, and thank you for helping me for doing my job successfully, and which was recognized. I mean, a lot of people saw that. So
yeah, good. Yeah, that's another. But I'll give you a flip side. This is almost a 17-18-year-old story. I was invited to address a group of senior what's it called, Sun Microsystems, that when it used to exist as an independent entity, to address them. There I found that just before my lecture there was some prize distribution, and a very honest manager sort of told one of the team members who had been given citation from the client is, tell this group, and in the group there were all the senior executives of Sun Microsystems were sitting there, and told them, tell them what the client said. And this guy was so embarrassed. He said, no, it's simple, said, no, I don't want to. I mean, and he went and sat down in his seat. There was an opportunity for around 100 senior executives of Sun Microsystems to know what great this guy had done, such that the client had given a citation. But he chose, in his middle class thing about, this, don't brag, don't speak too much about yourself, and modesty takes over. He went and sat on his seat. So there are sometimes the system is not as unfair as you make it out to be. I mean, Charu, I'm agreeing that there are managers who will take credit for your job. I mean, that's a different thing. But sometimes the manager is just ambivalent. He's not promoting you, but he's not necessarily unsure of your promotion. We have to grab that opportunity and do our own promotion. Okay. So I'll just use the last slide before I get you into a break. It's too many of us believe that, we lose our integrity if we participate in the political process. And I'm trying to persuade you that being politically savvy doesn't mean losing integrity. We already use the language of positive politics and negative politics. You please indulge in politics that is for collective good. And unless and until you participate in the process, so that's the wise politics I'm saying. You be politically aware and don't lose your integrity. I said too many people who could play in that domain are not there in the domain, and hence the clever guys have the field. The guys who are politically aware and do not care too much about personal integrity, they have a field day. Oh, MTA, and they go and win. Manager kuch kar sakta hai, that's a separate issue. You have to go and fill that space. You have to be politically aware and work for the collective good to ensure that the clever guys don't take away all the winnings. Okay. So next time when you go back to your work, don't complain to the manager, system, process, etc., about how unfair the system is and how unfair the organizational culture is, etc., Do what is in your domain to push back these clever people who are cheating everyone, and you'll find your workplace would be much better. You will have a less negative view about organizational politics than some of you currently have. Okay. I'm going to stop. Any comment before I let you go? Okay. Last one, Archana.
Doing all this, we'll have to go to work. Work from home has to end. Only then we can meet people.
नहीं WhatsApp messages बहुत हो रहे हैं आजकल. I mean, in fact, the powers that be feel much more of a loss today than they were in the past. At least here we could see you in the cafeteria huddling together, and we know yeah, something is cooking. Now I don't know what is happening on WhatsApp. Who is on whose side? Some of us are in all parties. Sare groups mein bhi are. So it has become more difficult for the people in power to manage the things in the online domain. But the short answer I'm trying to make is, let's shed our middle class sort of inhibitions to participate in the informal space. Don't be wicked, don't be clever, but definitely be politically savvy. Some things just show up as an open book, that once this is happening, some of these things will happen. Mentally, you can prepare for it and position yourself such that you and your team doesn't get negatively affected. Okay, I'll go up to Rajshree. Don't go more than that, otherwise your coffee break will go. Yes, Archana.
Sir, there are some times where I have heard comments like, "Ye banda, ye boss ka right hand hai," you know, and it is in more of a negative connotation. Or they'll say, "Isko agar ye, if this guy gets to know some information, within 5 minutes he'll go and tell his boss."
Yeah.
So I've heard these comments. I don't know how to react to
Does
this.
it embarrass you? Does it embarrass you?
Yes, it does.
Why?
I don't know how to react to them. I just keep
Those guys
quiet.
are playing politics. To label some successful guys as chamcha, that is, we are losers. We are losers. I'll take a cricket example. How many of you have told that, this is a very old story. Suresh Raina is Dhoni's right-hand man, so favor karta hai. Are, Dhoni favored Suresh Raina just for fun?
He does it for a reason.
He does it for a reason. So you have to understand what is making the manager handle this guy. And if you find some information that is relevant for the team, but you take 2 days to reach it to your boss, and your neighbor presents it to your boss in 5 minutes, you may keep labeling chamcha, this, that, and whatnot. As a manager, I will say that he is a useful guy. He is bringing information relevant. So when comes to some time, I'm not going to go back to the last year's performance appraisal to see who is the good guy or the bad guy. I know this guy is good. He is demonstrating to me that has the team benefit in mind, etc., etc. So listen, I'm pushing it a little hard, but I don't want to listen to loser stories. Please get
How
in
do you
there.
react to those people who talk like that? I don't know how to react. That's what I'm asking.
इधर से निकालो इधर.
You
ठीक है.
don't have to react. You have to accept.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I said. See, all of us are playing politics. Even the guys who are cribbing. As I said, when we lose the politics, we say politics is dirty. When we win the politics, we say, okay. So, just become politically savvy, but without losing your personal integrity. Okay. Yes, Prapti. I can't hear you. Abdul.
Yeah. I have one question. As part of my work, I have to get many deliverables from different groups and departments.